what exactly is a sexual harassment?
When you are trying to enter into my personal space, like you're commenting on my body, you are trying to teach me how to sit, how to talk.
Body shaming is also coming under sexual harassment.
Yes, body shaming is always coming under sexual harassment because that is your body. Because you have the fear of judgment. So when we talk about these things, we feel a lot light. And all of a sudden, she is exposed into a corporate, she is working with a corporate. So वहाँ पे कोई normally भी friendly हो रहा है, she feels uncomfortable.
Hello and welcome to my interview series Zoom with GS Kumar, where we regularly interview freelancers, business owners, and coach and trainers. So this week we have a unique guest from the legal fraternity. I'm happy to welcome Advocate Sonali Satpathy, who has 8+ years of experience in the field of HR, brand management, prevention of sexual harassment for various corporates and at an individual level. She has also written a book on the Sexual Harassment of Women at Workplace Act 2013, which serves as a handbook for people who are entering into this field. She is also a certified POSH facilitator, certified in prevention of sexual harassment, and certified by the California Department of Fair Employment and Housing for sexual harassment and abusive conduct prevention, all these items. So we have a lot more things to ask because this particular subject needs a lot of clarity. So welcome, Sonali Satpathy.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. So can you help me understand what is your background and where are you operating and what kind of services you provide?
Basically, education-wise, I have done my bachelor's in computer applications. Post that, I did my MCA, and after MCA, I opted for LLB. So that is how my education background grows. Based on where I'm based at Vapi. I'm currently operating from Vapi, Gujarat. But we do offer pan-India service concerned to POSH or any other legal aspect that you require. We operate pan-India. We provide our services pan-India. We provide consultation pan-India. We provide advisory pan-India. So location has never been a constraint for us. But yes, where we are based at, where we are sitting, it is at Vapi. It's in Gujarat.
Okay, great. So your profile and background is more towards LLB, legal, and all that, but your business is more into a specific niche called POSH and sexual harassment. So what inspired you to start this business?
Actually, my business deals with the entire legal requirement, which any individual or corporate would be needing. But speaking of an individual, like Advocate Sonali herself, I am more into POSH and cyber side of activities. Basically, before doing my LLB, before I started with the LLB and that part of the education, I did run an NGO which is still active, and I was into brand management for various industries, various type of individuals. So this is one thing when we get into the industries, varied type of industry, call it manufacturing, call it process related, call it service related. This is one of the common issue you can say that I have observed, because this is one part. Like just say, if you have some issue with the wages, you can easily go and complain. If you have any issues with the management, you can easily go and complain. So those things are easily resolved, easily they come forward. But sexual harassment was one part. Whenever this happens, it is mostly taken aback. There are no complaints. This is not put done. This is not put into the news. So that is one area which intrigued me a lot. That is the reason I was more to this part. I always wanted to explore more how this can be sorted, how we can improve this part. So that is the reason I opted for LLB at the first place, because when I was running my NGO independently before LLB, I did run all those cases as an external member for various organizations. That time we saw ki in the legal part, that is in the documentation part, there was somewhere or the other where I was lacking, because I was not aware how the law functions, how these things can be addressed. So that intrigued me to join LLB and move ahead. And once I did my LLB, two of us, me and my partner, we decided to come up with a law firm because
Mhm.
legal activities require a lot of patience, lot of dedication. So we came up with the idea of a law firm where we have a motto. If you would have gone through our logo, we have a motto, यहाँ होती है नाइंसाफी की सुनवाई. So
Mhm.
whenever we take up a client in our
Mhm.
law firm, we
Mhm.
actually investigate the entire matter from our end. So we
Okay.
try to avoid any sort of injustice, even if we have an accused with us, like the person
Mhm.
who is designated by the court or by the book of law as an accused. We try to
Mhm.
understand the entire matter and we try to come up with a justified resolution. And not
Okay.
just कि हाँ मुझे केस जीतना है, मुझे मैटर जीतना है. That has never been our motto. We try to come up with
Mhm.
a solution to that problem. So that is
Mhm.
how we formed the idea of Justice Law Firm and Arbitration Center. And in that, as I already said, I was always intrigued with the idea of sexual harassment and how this thing can be resolved. How can an IC committee be more effective in
Mhm.
putting light to these things and ending up these things? So I went on specializing in that field.
Okay, okay. So, I mean, legal graduation will not be sufficient for this particular thing. So, do you have any special certification or experience required for getting into this kind of a very sensitive subject?
Uh, Actually, if you speak technically, so I think law graduate is more than enough. But
Okay.
when you get into the details for a corporate, like when you get into a part of a IC committee, or when you start dealing with those matters, you need to be more aware about the exact background, exact legal requirements of that particular matter. Like just in case, if it is a matter of sexual harassment in a household premise, like it is a
Hmm.
marital rape or something, not exactly rape, not even we won't be terming it as rape, but when it is a matter of sexual harassment within the household, that requires a separate kind of process that has to be followed. You cannot
Okay.
follow the same process which is taken to the corporates. You cannot just copy paste the same thing. So
Hmm.
legally we have all the steps defined, but how well
Okay.
you are experienced, how well you go through the content, how well you go through the subject matter, how well you understand the actual issue, that is how your specialization goes. And if you would have seen the profile, I have also attended various training sessions of California and New York just to
Hmm.
check where there is a difference. Because even they are following the principles, they are following the laws, they are putting up all possible steps to end sexual harassment. So I
Hmm.
just wanted to check what difference do they follow, what different
Okay.
kind of measures do they take, so I can implement the same for the corporates I am dealing with. I can implement the
Hmm.
same for the individuals I am dealing with. So,
Hmm.
certification is not necessarily a matter in this. If you are a
Hmm.
qualified advocate or you are you run a social cause, you are a participant of a social cause, you are more than qualified to be a part of the IC committee. But
Okay.
to actively and effectively function, you need a lot of experience and knowledge. Experience,
Okay.
not in terms of number of years, but in terms of the you can say terms of the investigations that you do, terms of the
Hmm.
education that you, terms of the in-depth knowledge that you try and gain. So that is the
Hmm.
major part.
What I understand is there's two classification. One is the corporate services at that level, and one is the individual services level.
Right.
So, in a corporate level, as I understand, I'm also from the recruitment background, so I understand this. So, I mean, earlier years, this was not integrated in the entire system, but in recent time, when people are going into an induction kind of a program, this particular part is specifically addressed, where a lot of slides and explanation are given to the entire process mechanism. In recent years, we can see with all the most of the HR induction, it is happening. So, in terms of corporate services, what are the various aspects which you deal with, and how do you serve your corporate clients?
See, at the corporate level, like you said, majorly this training part is conducted with the induction itself. But even after the induction, कहते हैं ना जब आप पढ़ाई करते हो, whenever you are reading a book or something, even before the day of the exam, you need a set of revisions. आपको repeatedly वो चीज आपके सामने circulate होनी चाहिए. So just conducting one time of training and shutting it out is not enough.
Okay.
Every day you need to read, you need to understand these things. So what we do is we prepare a proper schedule. Like once we
Mm-hmm.
conduct an awareness session once in 3 months or once in a month, or we take some random quizzes. We put display some posters. We circulate some posters among all the employees. So there are various ways you need to brush up the awareness day in and day out. Just telling them
Mm-hmm.
one time, yeah, कहते हैं ना, minimum wages कैसा होता है कि there is a calculation. Once you
Hmm.
know the calculation, you can calculate the wages. So once there is a revision in the calculation, you just update that. But these things are quite sensitive. Every day, अब जैसे previously sexual harassment was like, did someone touch you? Did someone try to physically assault you? But sexual harassment can go to an extent beyond that. आपके daily communications में कौन सी चीज आपको सेक्सुअल हैरेसमेंट की तरफ लीड कर जाएगी, यू डोंट नो. आज आप और मैं बात कर रहे हैं, तो विच थिंग्स यू विल एक्सेप्ट, विच थिंग्स यू विल नॉट एक्सेप्ट, ऑल दीज थिंग्स अमाउंट टू सेक्सुअल हैरेसमेंट. So that is a part of the awareness campaign that you have to do day in and day out. So not every time you need to just gather everyone to conduct a training. That is not always necessary. We share some posters, we share some knowledgeable content that they can read. We create some comics, we create some role plays and just share it with them. We put up some thoughts where the other person is put to think, yeah, इस situation में क्या हो सकता है. So there are various ways for the corporate where we just keep on brushing up the employees. So they don't miss out on anything, and they are very much aware in their everyday communication with their fellow colleagues. That is
So
how
like
the
in corporates, how do you work? You act as an external partner for them, or you have an MOU signed with them, or how do you associate with the corporate?
We do associate. Some corporates do just need the quarterly trainings that are needed to be conducted as per the act. So they just need an external member who comes up and takes up the meetings, and मतलब वो once in a 3 months वाला ही पार्टिसिपेशन चाहिए होता है इनको. Some corporates do actually require कि हमारा पूरा जो पॉश का एक्ट है वो कंप्लायंस में चले. तो हमारे पॉश के एक्ट में कहीं पुल ना आ जाए, कहीं पे ऐसा ना हो कि कोई एम्प्लॉय मिस हो जाए कोई चीज जाने, बिकॉज व्हेन यू आर वर्किंग इन एन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन यू हैव डेली न्यू एम्प्लॉयज. सो यू जस्ट पुट अप इन द डे ऑफ आपने ट्रेनिंग करा दी एंड फिर वो एंड हो जाता है. So some corporates do opt कि हम in-house trainings कराते. They don't opt, they are not willing to hire someone externally. But when you genuinely want to put up the entire compliance thing in place, the corporates are too busy with the activity, so they need they need an expert who will only take care of these things. So we do also associate that way as a retainer. We do associate as an external member. We do associate as training partner, wherein we just take care of the trainings for this particular act. So that is based on the requirement of the corporate.
Okay. So since this is a very sensitive subject, I want to deep dive into the concept on the definition and meaning part of it, because most of them might have a lot of assumptions on what is the reality, what is the definition, all that part of it. So maybe in your understanding or in your perspective, what exactly is a sexual harassment?
Sexual harassment, if you ask personally my view, it is anything which is getting into my personal space. Like there are two people working together, right? हम बैठते उठते हंसी मजाक करते. Obviously when you work together it's not like always work. You do have some general conversations, you do have funny talks, but when you are trying to enter into my personal space, like you're commenting on my body, you are trying to teach me how to sit, how to talk, so all these amounts to sexual harassment. Because like today I cannot tell you कि आप ये करो वो करो. As a mentor, if you need my guidance, always you can tell the other person. But when the other person is not calling for it, and आप जबरदस्ती उसे किसी चीज पे कमेंट या कॉम्प्लीमेंट कर रहे हो, उसके किसी बॉडी पार्ट पे, उसके बैठने उठने के स्टाइल पे आप कमेंट कर रहे हो, even that goes under sexual harassment. Other than that, you are staring someone which the other person is not comfortable with. आप normally एक मीटिंग के अंदर जब जाते हो, you look at everyone. आप एक ट्रेनिंग कंडक्ट करते हो, एक मीटिंग लेते हो, you try and look at everyone. But there is always an uncomfortable stare. जहाँ पे मैं यहाँ खड़ी हूँ and I'm constantly staring someone, it is making the other person feel uncomfortable. Even that amounts to sexual harassment. Sending some wrong sort of messages, yeah, calling at the odd hours without any reason. So all these things are covered under the act. The act also covers all these things, and genuinely this is a practice that we need to follow. Even अपने घर में है, अपनी सिस्टर है, आपकी वाइफ है, आपकी मदर है, आप जबरदस्ती सामने वाले को हर चीज पे कमेंट नहीं कर सकते हो. ऑब्वियसली गो एंड एडवाइस कि नहीं मुझे लग रहा है थोड़ा सा तुम्हारा, कॉमनली जो मेजरली हम फीमेल ऑब्जर्व करते हैं दैट इज ऑन वेट. समवन ग्रोज अ लिटिल फैट, समवन ग्रोज अ लॉट थिन. सो वहां पे मेजर कमेंट्स आते हैं यार कितनी मोटी हो गई, या तेरा तू तो हड्डी है. So that is not the right kind of comment.
Body shaming is also coming under sexual harassment.
Yes, body shaming is always coming under sexual harassment because that is your body. You get it? That is something that is my personal property, and I'm not allowing anyone to enter into it.
Okay.
When you try to enter into that space, चलो आपने एक
हम्म
बार बोला, आई टोल्ड यू कि आई एम नॉट कंफर्टेबल विद दीज टाइप ऑफ कमेंट्स, प्लीज डोंट रिपीट. बट
हम्म
जो गलत इंटेंशन से जब कोई इंसान ये चीज करता है ना, तो रिपीटेडली आता है. So that amounts to
हम्म
sexual harassment, because my body, my property, my choices. Even if I'm
हम्म
fat, I'm asking you for advice. Suggest me some
हम्म
ways how I can lose my fat. So you can always
हम्म
advise. But when the
ओके
other person calls for it, अगर सामने वाला उस चीज को वेलकम नहीं करा, you need to immediately stop. So गलत तरीके से
ओ
देखना, बात करना, कमेंट्स करना, मैसेजेस करना, कॉल्स करना, everything amounts to sexual harassment. Not
ओके
just
ओके ओके
someone, yeah, not just going into an extent that is way beyond the ordinary. So ordinary में छोटी
हम्म
छोटी activities जहाँ जिसको अगर आप full stop लगा देते हो, it will never go beyond that.
My God, I think this is a very what you call a lot of insight into this particular definition, because in Google or anybody whom I ask, it's a very basic definition of not disturbing anyone on the sexual harassment part. But you have given a profound knowledge on the personal space part of it, body shaming, all that was a new insight. Now, talking about these comments, whether it can be oral, textual, online, all that comes into this picture, or how does it work?
Yes, it can be anywhere. It can be oral, it can be verbal, it can be over text, it can be over online, some random comments, and even like post-COVID, we have seen the major trend of work from home. So meetings are conducted online. So that is the special reason for the act had to come into force, where they implemented certain procedures to be followed in online working space. Previously, we had the workplace as physically आप कहाँ काम करते हो या अपने काम के लिए wherever you are visiting physically. But now, since the online trend is way too much, so these things are also included. हाँ, but sexual harassment, ये जो comment की हम बात कर रहे हैं, it can be in any form, not just verbally.
Okay. So usually for a female, going to an office itself, it's a big stress, and there are lot of workspace pressure and all that. But how this sexual harassment becoming a various stress factor in your experience? What you have seen and how did you resolve those issues?
See, the stress that we are talking about, जैसे workplace में mental pressure आ जाता है कि when it comes to a female, कि ऑफिस का काम भी मैनेज करना है, घर का काम भी मैनेज करना है, there is no one to help at home, so that is already stressful. But that is something she can, some do complain, some do accept the fact नहीं ऐसा ही होता है. So there are various ways she can at least talk about it. एक फीमेल जब बोलती है तो फेलो पीपल से बात करते हैं कि यार घर में भी करना है, ऑफिस में भी करना है, कोई हेल्प करने को नहीं है. सो व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट दीज थिंग्स वी फील अ लॉट लाइटर. सामने वाले बोलते हैं मेरा भी वही हाल है, ये तो अपना नसीब है. तो the point is not what you're accepting. The point is that is something you're easily able to talk about. If not to one person, you can talk to someone else. But when it comes to the topic of sexual harassment, आप अपने फेलो कलीग से भी feasibly बात नहीं कर पाते हो. आप उनसे भी ये मैटर खुल के डिस्कस नहीं कर पाते. Because you have the fear of judgment. कि मैं उसे बताऊंगी तो वो मेरे बारे में क्या सोचेगी, वो भी तो मेरे साथ काम करती है, उसके साथ नहीं हुआ मेरे साथ हो रहा है. सो यू कैरी दैट फियर ऑफ जजमेंट विद इन यू. सो उस चलते दैट इज अ थिंग विच यू आर नॉट एबल टू डिस्कस एंड इट इंक्रीजेज द स्ट्रेस लेवल. कोई भी चीज आप देखो, आप कोई थेरेपिस्ट से भी बात करो, सो व्हेन यू आर एबल टू टॉक अबाउट समथिंग इट डिक्रीजेज योर स्ट्रेस. बट व्हेन देयर इज समथिंग जो आपको परेशान करिए, विच यू आर स्ट्रगलिंग विद एंड यू आर नॉट इवन एबल टू डिस्कस इट विद समवन, इट इंक्रीजेज योर स्ट्रेस लेवल्स. क्योंकि ऑफिस के अंदर रहते हो तो एक वो फियर है कि जिसने भी वो एक्टिविटी करी है आपके साथ, जिसने भी आपको हरास करने की कोशिश की है, यू नीड टू फेस दैट पर्सन. द अदर थिंग इज यू आर नॉट एबल टू डिस्कस दैट विद एनीवन. थर्ड थिंग इज मे बी ड्यू टू सम रीजन यू आर नॉट एबल टू क्विट द जॉब और चेंज द जॉब. एंड इवन इफ यू हैव द ऑप्शन टू क्विट द जॉब, आपका फियर रहता है कि मैं घर पे क्या बताऊंगी, घर पे क्या बोल के जॉब चेंज करूं. यू हैव वन ऑप्शन कि मुझे बेटर पे का ऑप्शन मिला है या मुझे अच्छा ऑफर मिल रहा है, आप चेंज कर रहे हो. बट वो तब जब ऑफर आपके हाथ में होता है. तो ये जो सारे जजमेंटल क्वेश्चंस होती है ना, जो आप खुद अपने दिमाग में फ्रेम कर लेते हो, दैट इज वेयर द स्ट्रेस लेवल गोज अप. So as far as I have seen the investigations that I have conducted, there are still, even we are surviving in 2022, hardly 20% family members or colleagues support even this matter. We are still lacking with 80%. When 80% matters, families का स्टेट अवे स्टेटमेंट होता है, अच्छा ऐसा हो रहा है, कल से ऑफिस जाने की जरूरत नहीं है, कल से घर आके बैठ जाओ. ऐसा कैसे हो सकता है, तुमने ही कुछ किया होगा, तुम आज से ये नहीं ये कपड़े पहन के जाओगी. सो जजमेंट का फियर भी इन्हीं चीजों से आता है. इफ समवन कम्स एंड टेल्स मी, आई सेड कि ठीक है हमारा फॉल्ट नहीं है, इसमें सामने वाले की गलती है, वी नीड टू डील विद द अदर पर्सन, तो आपका कॉन्फिडेंस अपने आप बूस्ट हो जाएगा कि नहीं,
Correct.
एटलीस्ट समवन इज सपोर्टिंग मी। तो ये जो फियर ऑफ जजमेंट है, इट विल ओनली व्हेन यू हैव पीपल अराउंड यू सपोर्टिंग यू। तो वी हैव शिफ्टेड द मेथोडोलॉजी कि अगर आपको लगता है फैमिली मेंबर्स आपको अंडरस्टैंड नहीं करेंगे, आपके कलीग्स आपको नहीं समझेंगे, ऑलवेज अप्रोच एन आउटसाइड पर्सन who is dealing with these things, who is regularly discussing these things। कोई therapist हो सकता है, कोई counselor हो सकता है, कोई NGO person हो सकता है। आप you immediately need to approach someone with whom you can talk to। So
So
everyone
the
has a
first
different
recommendation which you are giving is speaking out, not hiding the information, but
exactly
speak out whatever you are experiencing. What is your stress level on this aspect? First step should be speaking out, either with your close friends who can understand this, or somebody going to a counseling, all that, so that you let out the stress first level. That's the point you're making.
yes, because
Okay.
unless and until you speak out,
Hmm,
काफी
hmm,
situations ऐसे भी होते हैं where actually there is no harassment, बस वो एक
hmm.
माइंडसेट होता है। बिकॉज आप एक
Okay.
सिचुएशन ले लो, लेडी सारी लाइफ टाइम एक कंजर्वेटिव फैमिली से आई है जहाँ पे बहुत ज्यादा खुल के बातें नहीं की जाती, या फीमेल एक
Hmm,
बैकग्राउंड उनको कंजर्वेटिव मिला है, एंड ऑल ऑफ अ सडन शी इज एक्सपोज्ड इनटू अ कॉर्पोरेट, शी इज वर्किंग विद द कॉर्पोरेट्स, तो वहां पे कोई नॉर्मली भी फ्रेंडली हो रहा है, शी फील्स
hmm,
अनकंफर्टेबल। तो
hmm,
वो जो
hmm, hmm,
डिस्कम्फर्ट है, अनलेस एंड अंटिल शी टॉक्स टू समवन, वो
hmm.
डिफरेंस को नहीं समझ पाएंगे, बिकॉज शी हैज
True,
नॉट बीन
true,
एक्सपोज्ड टू दोस थिंग्स। So you need to
true.
immediately talk to someone to let out your fear, let out your stress. Only then you
Hmm,
can decide, I need to complain, I need to
hmm.
rethink, whatever it is, as per the situation.
Okay, okay. See, usually what happens in an office is the guy who is harassing becomes your boss. Okay, immediate boss, where you sit on a regular basis, converse on a regular basis, and all that. Okay, but when I'm feeling that that harassment is being done, and I have to raise a complaint, but how it becomes a very confidential complaint I can make throughout this process, because I cannot fight with my immediate boss, because I'm more worried about my job security. So with the POSH process and all that, how this complaints can be confidential and how the entire process can be confidential.
See, whenever the complaint, first thing is जो IC committee बनती है organizations के अंदर, that is always a separate committee. It is not an HR committee which is also termed as IC committee or something. It is always framed as a separate committee, and there you have one external member who is never a part of the organization. She is not in any way related to your organization other than being a part of the external member. So that basically female feel very comfortable approaching that person for the complaint.
Okay,
तो वो काफी इजी हो जाता है क्योंकि वो मेरे ऑर्गेनाइजेशन से रिलेटेड नहीं है। अदर केसेस जहाँ पर डायरेक्टली जाके भी उनकी जो प्रिसाइडिंग ऑफिसर है, जो आईसी कमिटी की प्रिसाइडिंग ऑफिसर, उन्हें भी कंप्लेन करती है। सो आईसी कमिटी कैरीज द बर्डन, यू कैन नॉट लीक आउट द डिटेल्स टू एनीवन other than your committee members. We do carry that burden that we cannot disclose the complaint to anyone. और जो प्रोसीजर फॉलो होता है wherein we need to call the respondent, जैसे मैंने अगर कंप्लेन की है तो जिसके नाम पे कंप्लेन की मुझे उनका भी जवाब चाहिए होता है। सो इस सिचुएशन में अगर जो कंप्लेनेंट है, जैसे मेरे बॉस के अगेंस्ट मैंने कंप्लेन की है, सो जाहिर सी बात है जैसे ही सामने वाले का आईसी कमेटी रेस्पोंडेंट को भेजेगी, वो रेस्पोंडेंट सीधा आके मेरे सर पे चढ़ेगा, हाउ डू यू कंप्लेन। तो उस केस में वर्क फ्रॉम होम दिया जा सकता है फीमेल को, उनको उतने दिन के लिए पेड लीव दी जा सकती है, वॉट एवर द कंपनी फाइंड्स इट फीजिबल। तो वो ऑप्शन दिया जा सकता है कि 90 डेज का टाइमलाइन होता है टू क्लोज द कंप्लेन। तो वो 90 डेज के लिए वी आर प्रोवाइडेड विद द अथॉरिटी टू टेक स्टेप्स टू अवॉइड कॉन्टैक्ट ऑफ द कंप्लेनेंट एंड द रिस्पोंडेंट। और एक बार आपके हाथ में जजमेंट, वंस यू आर क्लियर विद इन्वेस्टिगेशन, आपको पता चल गया हु इज एक्चुअली एट फॉल्ट, फिर आपका एक्शन टेकिंग होता है। सो जब आपने कंप्लेनेंट रेस्पोंडेंट का कॉन्टैक्ट ही तोड़ दिया है फॉर 90 डेज, द रेस्पोंडेंट कैन नॉट डू एनीथिंग। एंड अगर मेरी कंप्लेन XYZ के नाम पे है तो XYZ की मेरे अगेंस्ट कोई भी एक्शंस काम नहीं करेंगे। वो मुझे फायर करने का ये कोई चीज देता है या बोलता है इसको ट्रांसफर करा दो, तो वो एप्लीकेबल नहीं होता।
Basically, the job security issues is been kept as a very
it is kept as a priority, right?
kept as a priority. Okay.
But
See,
after
the flip.
90 days, if we find कि complainant is at fault, complainant का किस साइड से false complaint है या the mistake is of the complainant, the same action goes to the complainant. जो गलती होती है अगर हम respondent के साथ लेते, the same action goes to the complainant itself. तो एक वो चीज की गई है ताकि गलत कंप्लेन्स अवॉइड की जाए। because there are cases where the powers are being misused. That is one part that is very nicely taken care of.
Actually, proactively, you have answered my next question, because the flip side of this is actually, taking a revenge against men or any other people who give false complaints, and that should not be like something where we undergo very drastically and then face this thing. But you clearly mentioned that there is no such kind of activity. So, in your past experience, have you seen these kind of false complaints, and how did you? Okay.
Men.
Okay.
The only difference that you face within a court and an IC committee, because we are IC committee is vested in the powers of the civil court, but the only difference that we see is IC committee gets to observe the body language. IC committee gets to observe each and every minute detail. We are allowed to call the fellow employees and understand the character of both the complainant and the respondent. We are allowed to get into in-depth matter to understand where actually the fault started.
Okay.
You will find cases where the complaint is registered just because the female was not provided promotion as she was expecting. Yeah, she was not provided increment as she was expecting. Yeah, ऐसे भी होते हैं जहाँ पे they are already into a relationship, but कहीं fight आ जाती है and वो fight का बदला लेने के लिए complaints की जाती है. So you'll find number of activities running with these.
Okay,
so you get to observe the body language. क्योंकि अगर मेरे साथ genuinely कुछ गलत होगा, अगर मेरे साथ genuinely कुछ गलत हुआ है, तो मेरा कंडक्ट अलग होगा. बट अगर मैंने किसी को फंसाने के लिए कुछ किया हुआ है, तो मेरे कंडक्ट में स्लाइट डिफरेंस आएगा. माय वर्ड्स विल डिफर. मेरे वर्ड्स वही होंगे जो होने चाहिए, बट माय एंटायर बॉडी विल नॉट सपोर्ट मी विद दैट. माय बॉडी लैंग्वेज विल डिफर, माय टोन ऑफ स्पीच विल डिफर, माय आईज विल डिफर. सो वी गेट टू ऑब्जर्व एवरीथिंग.
My God, this is something very new, because you go in depth to the level of body language, the kind of words they use. I mean, that is something psychological aspects which you are integrating in the entire process, which is good, which is highly appreciated in this kind of a process, where it should not be like a tool where we take up a revenge against someone.
Why it is needed, why it is very much important. जैसे आज अगर मैं बोलती हूँ कि मेरे मालिक ने मुझे सही या मेरे बॉस ने मुझे पगार कम दी है या छुट्टी के चलते मुझे परेशान किया, these things are not a black spot. ये बोलते हैं ना नॉर्मल मिसहैपनिंग्स जो होती रहती है. बट व्हेन यू आर बोलते हैं ना आप सामने वाले पे सेक्सुअल हैरेसमेंट का कंप्लेन कर रहे हो, दैट इज समथिंग वेरी सीवियर. आपकी पर्सनल लाइफ खराब होती है, आपकी प्रोफेशनल लाइफ खराब होती है, आप आगे जहां चल के जॉब करना चाहो, दिस गोज एज अ ब्लैक स्पॉट. So this is a very much confidential matter. छोटे मोटे जैसे मिनिमम वेजेस का कोई कंप्लेन, फैक्ट्रीज एक्ट का कोई कंप्लेन हो गया, दे आर ऑलवेज रिजॉल्व्ड. क्योंकि वो टेक्निकल चीज होती है, वो बुकिश चीजें होती है, वो एक बोलते एक प्रोसेस की चीजें होती है. बट सेक्सुअल हैरेसमेंट कम्स टू द कैरेक्टर, एंड उसके बाद माफी नहीं मिलती. इवन इफ यू आर आप आते हो कि यू आर नॉट गिल्टी, बट स्टिल जब आप नेक्स्ट एम्प्लॉयमेंट में जाते हो, द पर्सन क्वेश्चंस यू कि वहां पे ये केस हुआ था आपके नाम पे, तो क्या हुआ था उसमें. So there you will feel the pressure to explain yourself कि नहीं ऐसा ऐसा हुआ था complaint, but I was proved not guilty. अच्छा क्यों हुआ था ऐसा? So that turns out to be topic of gossip.
Okay.
So इसके लिए this is a very sensitive matter. So you need to understand each and every detail. अगर कोई complaint हो रही है, तो पीछे का actual fact क्या है? And if the respondent is not guilty, so the complainant has to be punished, ताकि वो किसी और की life spoil करने के level तक ना जाए.
Makes sense. See, yours is a very sensitive business and a unique business. What was your first breakthrough in the entire process of as a business?
ऐसे बहुत सारे लेडीज है, we don't mind. आपको कोई randomly कुछ कमेंट करके चला जाता है, you just put pause कि अपना काम करो, या you just give some reply and you leave. But there are female who cannot accept that.
Something which you've experimented which was a failure. Can you explain?
I tried to conduct a workshop, an open workshop.